Hi, everyone wants to be able to achieve time and financial freedom. And franchising is a great way to achieve that today. In the United States, today there are over 4,000 brands to choose from. And that is equivalent to 775 plus franchisees, give or take a few, that are existing today. These are the people that have been able to open their own business in different industries and places and be able to make the American dream of business ownership a reality. These 775,000 units translate into an average of about 1.2 units per franchisee. This means that the vast majority of franchisees are single unit operators. They basically have acquired a business in which they are able to have the freedom from a job and own their time. Except that basically this business becomes their job, right? They are in charge of it. They're managing it. They might not be clocking in and clocking out, but they're definitely opening and closing the business themselves. Now, the great thing about it is that this gives them the empowerment to own their time and their job. They can manage the business the best way they know how and lead the team the way that they know is right. And so this achieves a lot of success. Obviously having all these franchisees, you go through all the streets, in America, and you realize how many businesses are actually franchises today. And while this does give you financial success and stability, it basically provides, especially if you're running it and managing it, you're receiving what the manager's salary would be, and of course, the profit of the business. This gives you financial freedom. It gives you enough money to support yourself and your family and probably put a little bit of money away. Now, it's not going to give you financial freedom just yet because that will take time if you only have one unit. And this is why so many franchisees and even independent business owners have thought a lot about becoming multi-unit franchisees. And sometimes they have explored those possibilities. And as soon as they open a second unit, they realize, oh my gosh, this is a lot more difficult. And they eventually either close it, sell it, and go back to the one unit because it's not what they expect it to be. And the reality is that you need to really understand the difference between having one unit and becoming a multi-unit franchisee, which is the topic for today. What should be your first step before you decide to become a multi-unit franchisee? And that first step is to be clear on what it means to be a multi-unit franchisee. It's a lot more than you think. And for those of you that have tried it, understand that it is not as easy as it sounds. Now, the reason you want to become a multi-unit franchisee is because you know how much money you're making out of one unit. And so if you have a second unit and you manage it the same way, and they are in similar circumstances in the same brand, you'll think, okay, I can double my profitability. And then if I have 3, I'm tripling the profitability. And I have 4, quadrupling. And you see how multi-unit franchisees will eventually give you financial freedom, especially because when you have multi-units, eventually you are able to hire the leadership team to not only run each unit, but then to eventually oversee your operations. So as you can see, something that many people want and maybe, and very few people actually achieve. If you look at articles in magazines and interviews, most of the time in the franchise world, the people that are the success stories that are being interviewed are those that are multi-unit. And that is because they have the freedom to, first of all, do interviews and write articles and be on TV or, on podcasts, while the other ones are working hard in their business day in and day out, right? And so that's why you see and you wonder, what would it take to be a multi-unit franchisee? And the first step, like I said, is to be able to be clear what it is before you decide to make that jump. Now, let me give you a couple of things of what it means to be a franchisee so that you start to get a taste of what that is so that you can get the beginning of it and start researching more how to do that and what it will take so that you can prepare ahead of time from when this happens, right? So think about it. So as a multi-unit franchisee, you need to be very knowledgeable in how to have access to capital. You already achieve or obtain enough capital to open the first unit, but if it was based on your savings, you didn't go through the process of accessing other people's money or capital to be able to grow your organization. Also, you know how many challenges you have right now with your people. So if you open another unit, now you're doubling the number of people that you're leading, right? And you have 3 and 4 and 5 units. Each one of them will have or need a complete team that you will be responsible for. And so having the systems to be able to hire the right people, to retain them, to be able to train them and inspire them to do a great job is going to be very important for you. Now, if you are managing multiple units, being able to have some sort of reporting and information access and understanding your key indicators and your goals and your targets and the differences in how to achieve them is going to be very important for you as a franchisee. You know, something else that you need to understand is that you are going to be able to manage the day-to-day expenses. If you have multiple units, you will be able to negotiate potential savings by doing a bulk investment, right? So when it comes to small wares or even trash collection or carpet cleaning if you need it, right? And so all of the things that you need to think about when it comes to multi-unit. Now, obviously, people is the biggest one. But being able to manage the cash is going to be another one. And being able to control from a distance is going to be critical. It's not the same thing when you manage one unit and you are in that store, in that location, day in and day out, with the people, with the business, and overcompensating when things go bad by probably working extra hours. You can do that when you have one. When you have multiple, you don't. You have to have the systems in place, the management systems in place to be able to duplicate your units, which is one of the secrets why the franchisors or the franchise brands are able to grow into so many units, across the United States and the world, because they have a very clear system for their brand. Right? They have created systems to duplicate the product, the service, the image, right? Across states and cities and countries, and so as a franchisee, you have to create the same type of discipline systems so that you can, for management, so that you can duplicate those management systems from one unit to the next. And so this is the type of things that takes for you to be successful. Now, let me tell you a little bit of story. I have a client of ours that, they began with one unit. They were very good at running the unit. They were actually a manager of the same brand prior to acquiring the franchise. Then they acquired their first unit. They had saved money. They had the ability to access to capital, and they bought their first franchise, and they were very excited. They knew all about managing the business. They knew how to manage the operations and the brand. They didn't know a lot about the management side, but with time and support and mentoring and coaching, they learned about the management side, the cash management, the lease management, the people management, all of the cost controls, the banking, and all of those other systems that as a franchisee and business owner, you need to know. And so they were doing very well with that one unit, very successfully. And they say, you know what? Okay, I'm ready for the next location. And then they had the ability to acquire an already working, operating franchise of the same brand. And they acquired that second unit. And now they're realizing that they're splitting their time between the two. And they found that a little challenging because, when one unit needs you, you need to be in the other unit because you're scheduled to be there. Right now, you're splitting your hours between two units because when you have two units, you don't quite have yet the ability to have a supervisor. And so they kind of managed that. They eventually stabilized, and then they had the opportunity to acquire 2 more units, right? Of course, the franchisor sees them as doing a great job. They're successful. And so now they're given the opportunity to grow more. But as soon as they did go through the acquisition, and they realized, wow, this was crazy. They were running one unit, trying to oversee the other 3 units, hiring managers over there, being split in different places, trying to keep up with the cost and the accounting and the payroll and the people and the drama, right? And that's when they realized they just, this was becoming undoable. And that's when they reached out to us. And we were able to provide them the guidance so that they can implement the systems that I'm telling you about that you need to be aware so that you can manage the business and eventually delegate operations. So as you can see, it is definitely doable. It is definitely a way to achieve true and financial freedom. We encourage you that if you're a franchisee and that is what you want, consider multi-unit, but only until after you do the first step, which is understanding what it takes to be a successful multi-unit franchisee. Once you do that, you can jump into it with your eyes wide open and getting prepared to do it the right way. Now, if you want to learn more about how to do it and how to make it happen, I would encourage you to visit our website, AmericanFranchiseAcademy.com, where you can see how we provide knowledge, tools, resources, and support for you to be able to make that jump successfully. Having said that, thank you for being with me today in the Multi-Unit Mastery Monday, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Oh, and you have any comments or questions? I would love put them down here in the messages, and I will be very happy to answer any questions you may have. And give us a thumbs up or a like if you like this message and information, and if you'd like to see future videos like this. And we will be here on Multi-Unit Mastery Monday every week. See you then. Bye-bye.